Happy New Year, my name is Bearcat, and this is Tabletop Game Shop Simulator. Happy New Year, Pauline. So this is my second attempt to record this video because I'm silly and didn't hit record. So, yeah, so I hope everyone had an awesome New Year's Eve, good holiday celebrations for whatever holiday it was that you were celebrating. So some kind of funny story time. I spent basically all of Christmas, like three. So we had a snowstorm rolling in, so we pushed up our travel plans, and so we were. I think I was gone for about 4 days, and we pretty much spent all of it when we weren't at someone's house watching Unsolved Mysteries. So if you're like under the age of 40, you might not know what that show is, but it was a show from predominantly the 80s and 90s about unsolved crimes, missing persons cases, and in some seasons some wackiness. But most of the original series was hosted by the most terrifying man alive, Robert Stack, who, if you're not if you're like younger than 50, you might not actually know who he is, but he played Elliot Ness in, I think it was The Untouchables, and a whole bunch of other roles. He's quite famous, but his whole thing was his like deadpan read and his just like cold stare that may or may not have been Ghost Rider's Penance stare that makes you feel your sins. So as the host of Unsolved Mysteries, there was a lot of I don't think it's B-roll, but there was a lot of footage of him talking about stories and introducing segments, and a lot of it was quite amusingly like Robert Stack walks out from behind a tree and, you know, uses his pen and stare on you and talks about how you might know how to solve this mystery. So I was kind of laughing as I was watching this because I want to say I've seen a little bit of behind the scenes footage, and aside from the subject matter, it looked like making Unsolved Mysteries was like just a blast. And I'm watching these segments with Robert Stack, thinking like, man, the production on this might have been just crazy. Like, you fly Robert Stack out somewhere, it may or may not be a relevant location to the crime or mystery in question, and he's just like weird and creepy for a while, and, you know, again, uses his Ghost Rider Penance stare to make you feel your sins, and then just says all kinds of stuff like, maybe you can solve an unsolved mystery, or maybe you can solve a mystery, or what was the other one he says? Somebody out there knows the truth. Maybe that someone is you. And it's just like, just so creepy. I had so many nightmares as a kid watching shows like this, because I probably shouldn't have watched shows like this as a kid. But yeah, Robert Stack was just like such a creepy dude. And the idea of, yeah, just the production of just, okay, Robert, and now we're going to have you walk out from behind this tree, and then you're going to read, you know, this script and be creepy and possibly accuse people of crimes with your stare. okay, and now we're gonna rotate the camera. Okay, now you're gonna walk out from this bush. Or, okay, we're filming this at night in front of, like, I don't know, a courthouse or like a city hall or something. And so you're just gonna walk down this like shady looking alley and talk about, you know, unsolved murders. Go. So I can imagine what the production on this show must have been like, and just how like kind of hilarious it must have been. So yeah, so we just pretty much, yeah, whenever we weren't at someone's house, we're just in the hotel, like relaxing. I was reading some game books and, you know, whatnot. And just, yeah, in the background, Unsolved Mysteries is playing. Just something weird is going on. So that was my Christmas. How was your Christmas? Did you get up to anything really bizarre like I did? Are you old enough to have watched Unsolved Mysteries? I know there's been, I think, 2 remakes of it with markedly less terrifying hosts. And there was, I think in the last season that Robert Stack had hosted, he had co-hosted it with someone, because I think he was quite sick. I think he was at the end of his life. So pulling back on his just absolutely terrifying nonsense and trying to hand the show off to someone else. But another entertaining part of the show is that the show came out in the cool, just making sure I had resonance stock. So the show started in the 80s and played through the 80s and the 90s, and quite often some of the stories that they were showcasing were even older than that. So like stories from like the 50s and the 60s. Yeah, a lot of the 70s and 80s. So my dad and I were just laughing at some of these segments, and just everyone's just driving these like ocean liners of cars. And you know, my dad grew up in those cars, so it's not news to him. And I've been in a handful of absurdly long station wagons. But yeah, just laughing at just these like enormous cars in like, you know, high speed chases, or like a car in a car accident, and you're like, that car weighs like 300,000 pounds and is made of more like iron and steel than is probably in Earth's mantle at this point. Like just these enormous cars. And yeah, some of the like the high speed chases, some of the accidents. There was one story about a woman being like run over by her truck or something, and you're like, oh yeah, this is like an old American domestic truck. This thing probably weighs as much of a house. Like, can you imagine that happening? So yeah, lots of laughs at that, and just, you know, 1980s isms and 1990s isms. So yeah, that was my Christmas. Last night, so I'm recording this on New Year's Day. Last night, have a good night, sir. I was at a friend's place, and every year we watch terrible movies and eat cheese. So we spent the night doing that and just watching some just truly awful movies. But while I was there, we have like 3 generations of miniature gamers in my friend group. We've got me, who started when the dinosaurs ruled the earth. Not quite, but I'm the earliest start, although I sort of play the least. We have another friend who he plays a lot. He's also into older editions of 40K when his army was better. But he's also into narrative play, flexibility with the rules, and kind of creating his own scenarios. So we, the two of us, criticize a lot of the like tournament scene and the competitiveness of wargaming. So we had some fun talks around that, and then the other friend that we chat with a lot on this is he's also been playing for a long time, but he plays mostly current rules, and he plays with some competitive people. So yeah, we have some really fun discussions about things. So I'm gonna pause here and get the store straightened out and order some stock, and then I'll be back and talk about what some of those conversations were like. And I'm back. So while I am talking about things, oh, I missed those. Yeah, I wanted to talk about, of course I didn't, keep forgetting to order things. Anyways, yes. So, one of the things we talked about was, and I'd love to hear people chime in on their thoughts on this, but the one friend was complaining about, I just want to reorganize these so that they're in the correct order. Yeah, so the one friend was sort of complaining about rules stacking that people do in games. And it's one of those things that I just sort of grognard about, because playing older versions of games, playing or looking at other games, there's more and more of this trend of games being CCG like, where just everything has special rules, everything's a special and unique snowflake, and rules are increasingly written by someone in the legal department or something like that, as opposed to being written by game designers. And so you get all these rulings that are rules that are written as like, this always happens except A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, or like, this is the way this is, except. Oh, I've got the wrong box. Apparently did open those. Yeah, so this friend was the one that plays more newer editions, was sort of complaining about this and saying that there was some ruling. I just realized these are almost empty. There was some ruling he had come across where things were stacking weirdly. And so we're dunking on that because these things make the game really hard to play. And even though, like I said, this is really common in a lot of games, this is how Star Wars Legion plays. It's even worse now, the current rules update. And this is how games like War Machine played, and that was like kind of revolutionary when it came out for doing this. But yeah, it leads to these really kind of complicated issues where rules are so hard to read, and so hard to actually use because of all these exceptions and complications. So yeah, the two friends were trying to talk through this ruling, and the one guy was like, yeah, that's not how that works, and the other's like, well, I saw it in a YouTube video and this guy like did it at a tournament. And so we're trying to like suss out the wording of it. Like, are you talking about this specific movement and this specific rule, or are you referring to something else but accidentally talking about it? So we're trying to figure that out. But the general underscore of all of this was like, stop playing with people who are going to take issue with this and, you know, play for fun. And another one of the things we were talking about was, you know, in Warhammer 40,000, you roll to hit, and then you've got, you know, I don't know, rerolls or whatever. And then you roll to wound, and then the opponent makes their saving throw, and you're rolling with these like giant, like 30, 40, 50, 60 die pools that you can't actually possibly roll at once, to account for better shooting or something. And I was saying that, yeah, in Star Wars Legion, a lot of that stuff is rolled into a single roll that you make. So your 2-hit, your damage, your sort of extra shots, a lot of that stuff, you just sort of roll all at once, and there might be some different dice in your attack pool, but you're not going back and forth for days and days and days, making all these different rolls and doing this and doing that. And then the friend that is a little bit more willing to be flexible on the rules and is more into kind of narration and making your own scenarios rather than playing with like the tournament approved objectives. He was saying that that's also how it works in games like one-page rules, where the totality of your attack is rolled all at once, and then the defender, you know, they make their saving throw, and then that's done. And so we had a bit of fun talking about that, and trying to explain, because I'm like low-key trying to corrupt this one friend and like get him to try other games, get him to try Star Wars Legion. So I'm always telling him kind of how the rules work and why I think that's better than 40k, because the last like 4 editions of 40k are trash. And so I'm always wanting to tell him about, you know, what other games do to get him to kind of broaden his horizons and recognize that you can play other games, and when games aren't doing things that you want, you can either play something else, or you could actually make changes to that. And as long as you're in agreement over those rules, which can get complicated, you can make whatever rules that you want. So if you don't like rolling these giant attack pools, and I roll and then I roll again and then you roll, and that was a terrible paint job, and just this constant heavy mechanical back and forth, like you could kind of just change that. But there are also, you know, lots of games that you can play using the models you have, so he could play 40k without playing with, you know, these clunky, like lawyer written, weirdly worded rules that are written in a certain way to benefit or hinder like tournament players. You don't need to do that. You could play with your models into different games. So we're trying to like, kind of get them on board with that. Yeah, so we had some fun with that. And then my other kind of gaming update, and the other piece of story time, was some time ago. Someone had posted in a group I'm on in Facebook that the dollar store has started selling booster decks for Lorcana, the like Disney character CCG. And they were asking like, what is this? Is this a good value? Is this a good way to get additional cards? And I don't play CCGs. I very, very briefly did. But I really don't play them. But I know enough about them to kind of explain what this person was seeing. And so saying, it really depends on why you're buying these card packs and who you're buying them for. And I was saying, like, if your kid wanted, some Lorcana cards and they're like just getting into the game, buying some of these dollar store packs might be fine because they're probably really common cards or they're like not terribly good cards. But when you're starting out, you just need quantity. And so if you bought like a starter deck, you could probably use those as like stocking stuffers to help pad that out, help get them started. If you had, just sort of a gamer in your life and you're looking for a weird stocking stuffer, which is sort of what I did, couple bucks, whatever. It's the problem is they're not that much cheaper than just going to a game store and buying the actual starter deck or booster packs, which are going to have better cards in them. And so that's sort of what I was explaining. But I was seeing these in the wild when I was helping a friend with his Christmas shopping because he's not from here and doesn't have a vehicle. So I was driving him to some stores so he could do his shopping. And so seeing these card packs in the wild, and I kind of had it in the back of my mind that like, this might be kind of fun to play around with because I'm not a Disney adult. I'm not like a huge Disney fan, but I am an animation fan. And so I grew up watching the animated shorts, and then, a bunch of like Disney Renaissance stuff like DuckTales and the Rescue Rangers. So, there's a certain appreciation for it. And the way Lorcana is set up, it's not Magic the Gathering. It's not this like, I'm a wizard fighting your wizard army and I'm going on a killing spree. It's more kind of like some of the video games where it's like you're channeling the image or the sort of memory of these characters, and questing for lore and sort of doing all this other stuff. So there's a lot of that in the game, and so I thought, okay, that's kind of cute. That might be something fun to look at. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just looking at what I have as miniatures and what I can put out that might make a little bit more money. And so seeing these in the wild, I just kind of kept thinking about this and, thinking, okay, like, I'm not really big into CCGs because they're gross and predatory. But I have played them, and maybe there's a way that I can do this that's just kind of really casual and for fun, if this is even a game I want to play, because I'm not even clear at this point if that's what I want to do. And so just sort of keeping this in my mind as I was going around grocery shopping, and then I had decided to pick up a couple of booster packs and, you know, throw them in my stocking, whatever. And then I had seen a post on Facebook from a store that I occasionally shop at, saying, hey, we're having a bunch of Boxing Day sales. So for the Americans in the audience, Boxing Day is it's kind of like Black Friday. It's just a bunch of sales and kind of clearance of different products you have before the end of the year. And it's a good way if you've got, you know, some money or gift cards or whatever after Christmas. It's a good way to just kind of blow a little extra money. So this guy, he puts up that he's having some Boxing Day sales, and it's like discounts on some role-playing games and some starter decks for Lorcana for $10. And so in Canadian Monopoly money, the packs the starter decks are normally like $30 or something. So I thought, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to try this out and stop being a weird grognard, because I tend to do that. I have this history of being like, oh, well, that's dumb, I'm not going to get into that, and then finding out that I might actually enjoy that. So if you're new to my videos, I'm waiting for someone to actually walk by, because right now the clock is not moving until I open the store, and there can be issues where you open the store and then you're sitting there for like 3 hours waiting for people to show up. So that's what I'm doing right now. But yeah, so I thought, okay, instead of just dunking on CCGs, looks like this guy's coming in. This might be a chance to kind of give this an honest try. And it's I like Disney stuff, and it's just as competitive as any other game, but the sort of window dressing is a little bit less competitive. So because it's more like, you're sort of doing your thing, and there's some fighting among the characters in the background, but that's like not the main thing. That's not how you win. So yeah, I was thinking like maybe this is like an opportunity to give this a good shot. And so I picked up 2 starter decks to go with the $2 store boosters I had. Just spent the last couple of days just looking over what I had and how I could make a starting deck with it. So that if I wanted to play, I could. Now, the other thing is, as I was sort of looking into this and being reminded as to why I hate competitive play and CCG players, because I looked up some videos on like, okay, how do you build a deck? Like, how do you get started playing this game? And what I was hoping for was like, okay, when you're building your deck, you might want to consider, a certain ratio of cards. Like, okay, cool, Pauline's got that. So in Lorcana, there's characters, a lot of characters, very, very character heavy game. There's characters, there's actions, there's songs, which are just a type of action. Items that stay in play, and then locations that also stay in play, and you can like park characters there and they get different bonuses. And so it's like, okay, I have a lot of characters. I have a couple of locations. I've got a handful of items, and I've got, you know, a small number of actions. So I'm like, what sort of ratio should I focus on? Should I try and get more actions, or, you know, is this the appropriate amount? You know, stuff like that. Just really like basic, here's how you build your first deck. But of course, the videos I was finding were like, here's how to play a Mega Cheeselord deck with essentially only 15 cards in it, so that you can maximize the abuse of certain cards and maximize your ability to sort of control what cards you're getting, because, you know, it's RNG. If you have 4 of a particular card, which is the limit, that card is more likely to show up, which means you're more likely to be able to strategize around drawing that card. So, and, you know, and like how to be ultra aggressive and how to get that like first turn, you know, game defeat. It's like, yeah, this is why I hate these games. Ignoring the toxicity of the market and like manufactured rarity and stuff like that. But it's like that really aggressive play style that I hate in Warhammer, I hate in Legion, I hated when I did play Magic very briefly. So it's just like, okay, like, yeah, this is what I'm in for. But one of the things I was seeing is, I guess there is this shift, and I've seen it in miniature games, but I guess there's a shift in CCGs towards solo and cooperative gameplay options. So that really popped out at me as like, oh, that might be what I want to do, because then if I can play the game solo, you play through these like scenarios where you know, you have to defeat this Disney villain, and, you know, you're playing against them instead of playing against someone who's trying to win. I thought, oh, maybe this is kind of how I play the game, and I can just sort of play casually when I have a bit of downtime or whatever. Or if I find some people that want to play cooperatively, maybe that's what I do, instead of having to, you know, go through that competitive game scene that I just so do not like. So I thought, okay, yeah, that's interesting. And then I wanted to look up kind of what were these products that these people were talking about. And unfortunately, they're really expensive because, you know, CCGs, but they exist, and it gave me an opportunity to do some thinking on, oh, what am I doing? These, I think I messed up this table. I'm just going to pull everyone off and fix it, because this should be undead. I thought, yeah, this gave me an opportunity to kind of think about if I wanted to come up with my own attempt at solo gameplay for Lorcana, how would I do that? Given the like little bit that I've read about the rules. So that was kind of fun. It gave me that opportunity to look at, you know, what can I do with this that isn't going to make me hate it? What can I do with this that isn't going to, you know, have me chasing cards and spending a lot of money because I don't have any and already have other expensive hobbies, like the bit swap and use miniature swap that's coming up in a few weeks that I always tend to spend too much money on. So I'm like, how can I play Lorcana and not hate myself for doing it? So that was sort of kind of an interesting thing to look at. So I'm gonna see if I can find some of those solo products on sale. There's 2 of them that are available, and there may be one coming out. But I guess, yeah, there's this movement that's there's more games that are trying to build this in, or have products available that can play solo and cooperative. So it's like, oh, that might be something to kind of keep an eye on for fun. So yeah, that's been my, like, today in gaming update. Still, I worked on the larger format cards that I'm making for Star Wars Legion, and I'm still kind of sitting on that, waiting to have something in place that I can just kind of play with using the new set of rules and experience that. May or may not be, trying to find some games over Lorcana or see if I can talk anyone into it. Still trying to work on some stuff for Warhammer 40k and whatnot, like Warhammer Old World, Warhammer Fantasy, to just get some kind of playable project stuff done. So yeah, it's just sort of, that's kind of what's been going on that front. Yeah, so sorts of, yeah, questions of the day. What did you think of Storytime? What's your relationship with CCGs? I'm out of paint, but it's the end of the day, so that's probably fine. Yeah, what's your relationship with CCGs? Do you have this same kind of really negative experience that I've had? Are you, a recovering CCG player who's spent way too much money on them? Do you play Lorcana? Do you recommend it? Do you recommend against it? Or are there things to watch out for? Let me know all that stuff, because it's just, it'd be fun to hear people's takes on that. Have a good evening, everyone, who I think we were all playing at the tables. So, yeah, and then did you have any kind of gaming purchases, gaming gifts, gaming stories from the holiday season? So I'm going to pause here and, yeah, do the stock thing, and then I want to do some more box openings. Unfortunately, in the episode that did not record, I had unlocked a like silver model, I think it was a big demon. So that makes me sad that I'm losing him, because he was a perfect model to stick in there. So I'll do some more box openings, fill up my tables because they're a little bit ravaged over again, see if I can get some higher price point models out, and then yeah, do all the closing thought stuff. So I will be right back. All right, and I'm back. So steal some product from the shelves. Yeah, so let me know in the comments what's your relationship with collectible card games been like. What's your take on that sort of CCGification of games? Actually, I don't think I have any room in the back for this. No. Yeah, I'll just open one more. Those like really, yeah, the really increasing complication of miniature games and the stacking of rules and the this except this except this except this kind of stuff. And yeah, let me know if you got any good gamer gifts or any good gamer purchases during the holidays. 'Cause that stuff's fun. All right, and one of those. And I think I'm just super okay. Are there? Huh. Those come in 8s. That's news to me. All right. Anyways, yeah. As I try and do math, so open up a case of undead. And then head off to paint. And one more. Okay, now I have a silly amount of these because I think I wanted to open up a case of these guys. So let's bring that out. And 4 more. So, lots of stuff to assemble and paint, which should be lots of fun. I was going to top these up because I don't want Pauline to miss them. And ludicrously stocked up in the back room. I've got a spare shelf. I think in the next episode, I'm going to have to maybe consider expanding the stock room. Because I can do a little bit more silliness back here, but it's starting to get a little crowded. So we'll see about that. But yeah, another tangent I had gone on in the episode that was not recorded was, I had mentioned this sort of weird behavior I have where I'm like, oh no, that's dumb. I don't want to do that. So I remember years and years ago, when I was a kid, everyone who lived on our street was my brother's age and not my age. So I hung out with kind of my brother and my brother's friends a lot. And lot of little brother mode going on. But one thing that I have a lot of fond memories of was playing the board game HeroQuest with my brother and our next door neighbor. And this is especially interesting given that my brother is a jock and not into really not into like board games, not into miniature games, not into anything like this. so that we got to play these together as a kid, and that he had run some kind of like map campaign stuff for me when we were younger. Really fun memories of that. But I remember we were in a lowercase g game store, and so they sold like darts and stuff for like billiards tables, but they also sold some D&D books and like probably some dice and stuff. So we're in this store when we were younger, and they had something, I think, for D&D. And me and my brother were talking about it, and I guess his friend, our next door neighbor, had probably played D&D, and I'm a little salty that, assembled 150 miniatures. A little salty that like that had never taken place, because that might have kind of accelerated my gaming hobby quite a bit. But so we're in this game store, and I think we're looking at something for D&D. I'm like, oh, what's this? Ooh, there we go. Silver, not the one I had unlocked, but this I think is the one I had unlocked. So awesome. 2 lovely, beautiful models I can stick in the display case. I might paint them up and leave them in the display case. I might sell them, I'm not sure. But cool, re-recording the episode is a good idea. Anyways, yeah. So we're in the store, we're looking at something for D&D, and I'm like, oh, what's this Dungeons and Dragons thing? Because even though I grew up kind of during the Satanic Panic, that I always feel was much more of an American thing than a Canadian thing. So I never, kind of understood. Like I didn't know a lot about D&D. I'd like heard of it in some games, or heard of it in like some movies, heard of it in the news, but like that's kind of it. So I asked my brother, I'm like, oh, what's this Dungeons and Dragons thing? And he's like, oh, it's kind of like HeroQuest, but you play without a board, which is absolutely not what it is, but he tried. And I'm like, oh, well, that's dumb. How do you keep track of your movement? And a much better comparison would have been something like Warhammer Fantasy or like Warhammer Quest. Although, actually, no, Warhammer Quest did play on a board. Like Warhammer Fantasy maybe would have been a better comparison, but like, yeah, he's like, it's like HeroQuest, but without a board. Okay, that's, kind of dumb. Who wants to play that? That sounds boring. And then a number of years later, had gotten into Warhammer 40,000, and I was talking with my best friend. He had gotten this book for Rifts, which is a terrible game. And he really liked it. He liked looking through it and reading it, trying to understand what the rules were, because it was an expansion, not the main rulebook. So he's reading this and it just makes no sense. And we're looking through it together one day, and I'm like, what's this like? He's like, oh, it's like Warhammer 40,000, but without miniatures. I'm like, oh, that's stupid. So, and then we were at a store, and missing the paint button. We're at a store, and they're running this kind of miniature convention thing, and we had been invited to play what turns out to be my favorite role-playing game ever, Deadlands Hell on Earth. And we get roped into this, and it's like, oh, again, it's kind of like 40K, but without miniatures. That sounds dumb. And then it took a lot of peer pressure for my friends to get me to want to try this, and we enjoyed it, and life has never been the same since. So I'm always in this funny space in gaming where I look at something, and this sort of goes back to like Lorcana. I look at something and it's like, well, this is dumb. Like, that sounds stupid. Why would I play that? That's not the thing I like. So, going back to this thing with Lorcana, I am trying to keep an open mind. You know, the game. Okay, I had another page of models to paint. That just kind of popped up and startled me. I wonder if the game had glitched out or something. But yeah, it's like I like Disney animation. I like, you know, the shorts and the legacy characters. So when Lorcana sort of, you know, figure of speech comes across my desk, I'm really trying to keep an open mind and not just be like, well, this is dumb, I don't want to play it. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I've played CCGs before, and not especially fond of them, just because of how predatory they are. And it was actually funny, the store I went to buy the starter decks, the owner of the store had said kind of the same thing. He's like, yeah, he's like, we get it in, we sell some once in a while, but there are more board games and role-playing games. So he's like, this is just not really the store. There's a card store down the street that, you know, they can do that. There's enough room in the city to have, you know, enough of these stores. We don't need to be stepping on each other's feet. But he said one of the other reasons why he doesn't sell a lot of card games in his store is because he doesn't want to. He says they're gross, they're really competitive, they're really predatory. And he said, like, just seeing kids come into his store and pool all their money together to buy Pokemon cards, and he didn't say it, but he sort of implied, like, you know, getting in fights over it, or just seeing these kids just emptying their pockets into this really predatory game. He said was another reason why he really didn't like stocking card games. He said he does from time to time, and if I wanted anything to let him know, but he's like, they're kind of gross, and there are stores that do a better job of it, and we don't need the unnecessary competition. So yeah, so just kind of sitting on this like lore kind of thing for the past, like, I think 3 weeks almost, and just sitting on it and like ruminating, kind of doom spiraling a little bit, and all of the thinking of all of the sort of implications of it, and the memories of Magic, the memories I had of like people playing Magic and doing drafts, and all of the ideas I would get from that, but not wanting to play Magic. And then seeing more and more of these card games showing up in dollar stores, and sort of what it'd be like, can I build a deck using dollar store boosters only? That's sort of what had gotten my interest in wanting to think about Lorcana. Was I'd always pondered, you know, seeing these card games in stores, if there was like a less horrendously expensive, but also like, let's just screw around and have fun with this kind of approach. So yeah, we'll see if this Lorcana thing turns into anything, or if I end up trying to put together some kind of solo play rules or whatever. Who knows? Who knows if that's like my new game thing for 2026, or if I finally actually get back into 40k, you know, get back into Legion, do something entirely different. You know, other sort of game stuff was the last legacy expansion for HeroQuest is coming out. And so I had picked up a little while ago the last crowd-funded expansion for HeroQuest. I love HeroQuest. I always wanted to own these expansions, but they're always like stupid expensive because one set of expansions was printed everywhere and it was dime a dozen. One set of expansions was printed in one country but not the other, and in the 90s that was a big deal. And then, you know, the other expansion was, you know, it was printed in the other set of countries but not in Canada. So never just I'd been able to read about you know, these quests and cards online, but was never able to like really enjoy playing HeroQuest past the core game and like maybe some of the really common quests. So when the game had relaunched, it had relaunched with these crowdfund expansions. And so a little while ago, the last of those expansions had been released. And now the last of the legacy expansions has been released. There's a couple more older products. It's unlikely they're going to get released, just because of what they are. They weren't really products. They were just sort of like sales bonuses. So it's really exciting that this last final legacy expansion is coming out. And then it's like, it's a brave new world, because while we have seen some new products from Avalon Hill for the new version of HeroQuest, it's been mostly either the legacy stuff or the crowdfund stuff, and trying to get that stuff on shelves to get for literally everyone who were not able to get these things when they were younger or even older. So that is a lot of painting. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of pull everything and then go through, see if I can get the most expensive models on the table. So yeah, so I'm really excited about this new HeroQuest release that's coming up. Story of my life. It's who knows what is happening with these releases. It's kind of the biggest frustration of this this HeroQuest relaunch is this stuff will come out eventually, but it's like nothing is available ever. And it's really kind of frustrating because it's like people are posting pictures. Oh, I have my Wizards of Morcar already, and like, oh, when's Wizards of Morcar hitting shelves? And like, people are posting this, and it's super frustrating because like, we'll get this in 6 months in Canada. Awesome. But like, meanwhile, everyone else is like, oh, when is this coming out? Oh, I don't want it to be sold out. And it's just like, it's gonna be a while before we get this. Hold on. So a little bit of frustration there. It'll come out eventually. I'll start seeing people posting about it reliably on Facebook and on Discord. So it'll be like, okay, now this is finally out and I can finally buy it. But yeah, just really funny way people kind of behave around dealing with HeroQuest and the struggles and the frustrations the game just like never being on shelves. So that will eventually end. Things will eventually get released, but like, yeah, just watching people posting stuff and being like, I'll have it one day. No idea when. That's demons. I think I'm making mistakes here. Okay. This is undead. This is the undead table. Put out undead. Yeah, so eventually those will make their way to shelves. Canada will finally stop being in little brother mode, and we'll finally get some of these products. But yeah, seeing the last push of these coming out is just, it's so exciting. 94, do I have anything better? 105, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so we've got lots of models I can put out. Again, holes in shelves for Pauline to sort out. Next episode, working on maybe expanding the storeroom so I can really get a good firm amount of stock in the back at all times, so I'm not running out of stuff. And then maybe work on if I can expand the store again in the future, get some second tables, and I can just really go ham on getting stuff in the display case, getting stuff on the tables, and having fun with that. So thank you for sitting through all this story time. I'm looking at my clock. It was like an hour and a half of recording, a lot of stalking. So this might be a long episode because of all the painting. You're welcome. Please share the video, give it a thumbs up if you like this. You know, share in the comments what your relationship has been with all these games, and you know, anything else you want to share. Please do subscribe to the channel. YouTube has done some shenanigans, and it's been a bit of a slog. So I'm hoping to get a new push of subscribers in the new year and get kind of back on track for monetizing, which means I can turn this into a job. So thank you for everything. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas, holidays, and New Year, and I will see you again in the Spirit Crew in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and have yourselves a fantastic weekend.